Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to thank the Lord for waking me up this morning. I hope all y'all out there, you is having a good Sunday as well. I'm on my way to church. Hopefully I'll be able to film a little something. Maybe if I don't get the song, I'm going to get the sermon. So either way, I'm going to get something. So if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, cut on post notifications so you never miss a video, and comment down below. Hit the bell. Bing! Comment down below and let me know what you think about this video. Until later on, be there. I'll meet you tomorrow.
A few moments later.
It's coming from the book of Mark, chapter 5, beginning at verse 1. It reads as follows. They went across the lake to the region of Gerasenes. When Jesus got up out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chain apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." The word of God for the people of God.
Do on your behalf and worship him in advance because it's already done. Hallelujah. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely. You're altogether worthy. You're altogether wonderful to me. Here I am saying, here I am saying, here I am saying, that you're my God. You're
what I do.
5 minutes later.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Glory to
Count it a privilege to come before you.
you, Father. Yes, yes, yes.
Bring forth the word that God has given
Thank
me.
you, Lord.
First, thank the pastor for giving me this opportunity. He and his wife celebrate their 4th anniversary. Hallelujah for that. Hallelujah for him and his family. I want to thank you all for coming out this morning. I want to thank my wife and my daughter for supporting me, as always. It's always a nerve-wracking experience to come before the Lord, to come before God's people. Do not take this task lightly. And I have a word for you. As Shannon read earlier, the scripture comes from Mark 5, chapter 1. It's really 1 to 21. I'm going to read the first 8. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of Gerasenes. And when he had stepped out of the boat, immediately a man out of the tombs with an unclean spirit met him. He lived among the tombs, and no one could restrain him any more, even with a chain. For he had often been restrained with shackles and chains. But the chains were wrenched apart, and the shackles he broke in pieces. And no one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs on the mountains, he was always howling and bruising himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and bowed down before him and shouted to the top of his voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he said to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." Let us pray. I want to lift up this thought very quickly. I don't want to keep you out on the scene. When Jesus comes through. Throughout our study of life, we witnessed Jesus could perform many miracles. We have seen many lives radically changed by a touch or even the sound of Jesus' voice. And today is no different. In these verses, we see an extreme situation. A man who was helpless and hopeless until Jesus came on the scene. We read of a man who was tormented by many evil spirits. He had been abiding in a cemetery in the mountains, crying and cutting himself. We are told that no man could bind him, neither could anyone tame him. And then Jesus shows up and changes his life forever. Every man, woman, and child of God has their own personal testimony. Some are good people before they were saved. Some were a little mischievous, and some were just plain rebellious, wretched sinners. But I heard someone say a long time ago, before Jesus, we were all dead. Some just stink a little more than others.
All right.
Here we have the man who was possessed by a legion of demons. And it's proof positive that no one is beyond the reach of Jesus Christ. Not only did Jesus deliver him from the evil spirits, he changed his entire life. That is what Jesus will do for you and me if we're lost today. If you have been saved and you have been changed forever, and we are witnesses for what happens when Jesus shows up in our lives. When Jesus comes on the scene, it will be at the right time. Many times we're quick to question God's timing. We wonder where he is and why he's not doing what we think needs to be done. We read in scriptures that in due time Christ died for the ungodly. We find that at the perfect moment in time, God sent Jesus into the world. In the story of Lazarus, we find that when others thought Jesus was late, he was right on time.
Yes, yes.
When he saved your soul and mine, it was at the perfect time. When he returns, it will be the perfect time. This man was possessed with a legion. This man was possessed with a legion of demons. He had suffered for some time. But when Jesus arrives, it's the right time. This man faced times of darkness, devastation, and desperation. He needed help that only Jesus could provide. Here in the area of the tombs, we hear about they were drawn out of rocky caves. This man was naked and tormented, and he did not live in a house. He made his home among the dead. Can you imagine living in a cemetery, living amongst the dead? I'm not superstitious, but you won't catch me laying out in no cemetery. But the tombs were a result of a much bigger problem. We're told that he was possessed with an unclean spirit, literally demons, and this man was possessed with a legion of them. Not only was this a time of darkness, it was a time of desperation. Whenever he was put into the chains and shackles, he would snap them. No man was strong enough to even subdue him. It seems that in the past, others had tried to help him, but they were unsuccessful. Many of you have loved ones who are in times of darkness and desperation. You've tried so many times and many different ways to help them with no success. Maybe you have someone in your family who's a drug addict, an alcoholic, or just lost and you've tried to reach out to them and it didn't work. You should reach out to them, but the only hope they have for a miracle is for when Jesus comes up on the scene. That is the key to success. When you put them in the best treatment programs, you can take them to the doctors and the psychologists. You can try many things, but Jesus is the ultimate answer for that problem.
Yes.
Many times we look at folks and say, there's just no hope. That's wrong. There is hope, and it's found in Jesus Christ.
Yes.
But remember the point that we were considering. When Jesus comes up on the scene, it will be at the right time. So we see that this man was suffering in darkness and devastation. He was also suffering from desperation. Can you imagine the loneliness that this man has experienced? People were terrified. Those who had tried to help him had given up. This man had been separated from his family and his friends. After he's delivered, Jesus said to him, go home to thy friends and tell them how great things the Lord has done for you, and have had compassion. Just when it seemed like there was no home, Jesus showed up on the scene. Many of you are here today and can testify that that's how Jesus works. Maybe you're here today and you're facing a time of darkness, devastation, and desperation. Jesus can do for you what he did for this man. Secondly, when Jesus shows up on the scene, the enemy will flee. As soon as Jesus steps off the boat, the man ran to him. But when he saw Jesus afar, he ran and worshipped him. King James says that he ran and worshipped. This may sound good, but it is not what you think. This man didn't worship in the sense that we worship. The literal translation is that he bowed low. This man may have not known who was on the boat, but the demons inside knew who he was. There's a lesson here. A legion of demons feared God enough to bow down before him.
Oh, yeah.
And we sometimes treat him like he owes us something.
Come on.
As he comes into Jesus' presence, a spiritual battle begins. What have I to do with thee, Jesus, the Son of the Most High God, he screams. Please do not torment me. Notice that Jesus here said to him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. This big bad demon doesn't even put up a fight. The demons that had been tormenting this man started begging the Most High not to torture them. This is encouraging. We may feel that the devil is so powerful and in control, and he is powerful and has much influence over the world today, but this big bad devil that causes so much heartache and pain will one day beg for mercy himself.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes the odds may not seem too good, but we must remember who we serve. Things may not look promising for for the lost ones we love. You may have given up on hope. Remember who Jesus is and what he has done. This poor man had faced what seemed to be unbeatable odds. When Jesus asked, "What is thy name?" he answered, "My name is Legion, for we are many." A legion in the Roman army was around 6,000 people. Here the word speaks of an indefinitely large number. We can assume that it was at least 2,000 because that's how many swine that they went into at the end of this story. All the devils here, check out what it says in the scripture. It says, all the devils besought him, saying, "Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them." And forthwith Jesus gave them leave. And the unclean spirits went out, entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea, and were choked in the sea. The demons left this man, entered a herd of pigs, drowned the pigs, and left. Now think about this. This many demons did that much devastation to some man's herd of pigs. They had been tormenting this man. What a difference Jesus can make when he shows up in your life.
Yes.
He can and will do the same thing today as he did back then. Those problems that you can't fix, he can solve. The hope that you long for, he can provide it. The oppression from the enemy, he can remove it.
Yes.
When Jesus shows up, the enemy will flee.
Oh, yeah.
When Jesus shows up on the scene, lives are changed. In this event, Jesus did a great work in the life of a man who was possessed, but he also impacted many others. Check out the public impact. Verse 14 tells us, "And they had fed the swine, and those who fed the swine fled, and they told it in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what was done." The herdsmen witnessed this miracle and ran to tell others what they had seen. No real need to hang around the farm. All the pigs were gone. These men were not involved in the situation. They were just bystanders. And this had a tremendous impact on them. In turn, they went out and told others. When Jesus changed lives, like he did for this man, others will notice. They may not understand, they may not believe in Jesus, but they'll know that something happened. The majority in this account, as in many other instances, rejected Jesus. Maybe they all did. But he changed one man's life forever. The personal impact that Jesus has when he shows up.
Oh, yeah.
Verse 15 says, "And they came to Jesus, and they see him that was possessed with the devil, and had the legion, sitting, clothed, and in his right mind." He was sitting, clothed, and in his right mind. He was sitting. Before he had been running around cutting himself. He was clothed. He was clothed. Before he was naked among the tombs. He was in his right mind. Before those 2,000 demons were tormenting his mind. Jesus had transformed every area in this man's life.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, even though the townspeople had begged Jesus to leave their presence, this man had a desire to remain with him.
Oh, yeah.
And when he was to come, in verse 18 says, "And when he comes into the ship, he had been possessed with the devil, prayed." The man he had been possessed with the devil had prayed him that he might be with him. This is the impact that Jesus has on lives. When he changes you like he changed this man, you will have the desire to be with Jesus. That is what is confusing with the church today. There are people who claim to have been transformed by Jesus Christ, who have no desire to spend any time with him. Not only will you want to be near Jesus, but you will also have the desire to serve him.
Yes.
When Jesus comes on the scene, it will be at the right time.
Oh, yeah.
When Jesus shows up on the scene, the enemy will flee. When Jesus shows up, lives will be changed. And finally, when Jesus shows up on the scene, there will be new responsibilities. Notice that this man did not do what he wanted to. He wanted to remain with Jesus, but Jesus had another plan for him. Verse 19 says, "Howbeit Jesus suffered him not, but saith unto him, Go home to thy friends, and tell them how great the things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on them." Jesus gave him a simple task. Go and tell. Notice where he was to start. Where he was to start, at home, with his family and friends. It is that simple today. If you have been transformed by the mighty hand of Jesus, go and tell others. Verse 20 says, he had departed and began to publish in Decapolis how great things Jesus had done for him. And all men did marvel. The man here was obedient. He went and did what he was told to do. I believe that he told his family and friends. But I also believe that he told everyone he encountered. Why? Because Jesus changed his life. Jesus did what he couldn't. Jesus did what no other man could do. And he was thankful.
Oh, yeah.
As I close, your life may be in disaster. You may be in darkness, dealing with depression, dealing with doubt, dealing with discouragement. You may be going through something that you feel is too much for you in your life. But I know a man that when he shows up, all things change. I know a man that when you feel that there is no hope, he is the hope. I know a man who's, when you're dealing with some type of illness, he is the healer. I know a man when the doctor says no,
Come on, man.
this doctor says yes.
Yes, yes.
When Jesus shows up, when Jesus shows up,
Shows up.
all things change.
Yes.
All things have to come to an end.
Yes.
When Jesus shows up,
Yes.
we become new people.
Yes.
It always makes a difference when Jesus passes by.
Oh, yeah.
The devil trembles. The enemy flees. When Jesus comes on the scene, he always shines a ray of light. The darkening clouds must fly. It always makes a difference when Jesus passes by.
Yes.
Amen.
5 minutes later.
Well, everybody, I hope everybody enjoyed the service that I have getting ready to upload. Hope you enjoyed the song as well. If you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, cut on post notification. Bing! Comment down below and let me know what you think about this video. Until next time, or well, next time, peace.